dramas of the court. The law awards and the law punishes.
Presenting true-life jury trials. Stories in fictionized form typical of the unfolding human dramas of the courts. Tonight, the Bedford case. Widmouth Gorge is a wild, desolate gully on the outskirts of one of our large eastern cities. Because of its steep cliffs, it has been the scene of several fatal accidents, and very few people now venture into it. Yet one afternoon about 2 years ago, a young couple, Barbara Stratton and Clive Bedford, having penetrated to the bottom of the gorge, were slowly forcing their way through the undergrowth that grew along its rocky base, when suddenly...
Oh!
Paper, read all about it. The gruesome discovery in Widmouth Gorge. Paper, read all about it.
Another cup of coffee, Tom?
Yes, thanks, Joan.
Would it be disturbing you too much to pass your cup?
No. Oh, sorry.
Anything interesting in the paper tonight?
Just that business out at Widmouth Gorge.
Oh, yes. I remember hearing a news flash over the radio. I wasn't listening properly, though.
Well, a young couple out walking this afternoon found a skeleton there.
How horrible. Has it been identified?
Well, the paper just refers to it as the skeleton of a young woman, so apparently they haven't. Not yet, anyway.
Here's your coffee.
Oh, thanks.
Wouldn't it be dreadful to make a discovery like that?
Well, but after all, a skeleton can't hurt you.
I wouldn't like the experience anyway. And I'm pretty sure you wouldn't either. It's easy to be casual about it when you aren't the person concerned.
Perhaps you're right. Oh, well, by the way, Joan, what was the name of Mary Haywood's fiancé?
Bedford, wasn't it?
Oh, I thought the name sounded familiar.
What on earth made you think of him?
Well, that's the name of the fellow who found the body. Clive Bedford. I was wondering if it was the same person.
Let's see. No, his name was Roger.
Oh, that's right. Yes, so it was.
Incidentally, I haven't heard from Mary in ages. Not since she moved to Suttonbury.
Have you written to her?
I haven't got her address. She was going to send it to me.
Well, there you are. Nothing to worry about.
Oh, I'm not worrying. Mentioning her name just made me wonder. Was it murder or an accident?
Murder or... Oh, you're talking about that skeleton again.
Yes.
Well, according to the paper, the police suspect foul play, but well, that's probably just mere supposition. You know what the papers are like? Anything to make a story sensational.
But in this case, what the newspapers had printed was the truth. For while this little domestic scene was being enacted, at the city morgue, a more dramatic incident was being played out. Brilliant surgeon Dr. George Sedley, called into the case by Inspector Hyes, CIB, was just completing a post-mortem examination of the remains.
Well, Doctor, what's your verdict? Suicide? Accident?
Murder. I'll settle for murder.
You're sure of that?
There isn't the slightest doubt about it.
How was she killed?
By a blow on the head.
Any idea what kind of weapon?
Well, from the type of skull fracture, I'd say a lump of wood or something like that. If a sharp instrument had been used, the skull itself would have been split open.
She struck more than once.
At least 3 times.
How do you know that, Doctor?
By these 3 cracks in the skull. Here, on the left side.
Yes. Yes, I see them. How long would you say she's been dead?
I'm afraid that's rather a difficult question to answer.
Well, approximately will do.
In that case, Inspector, somewhere between 6 and 9 months.
You know, Doctor, I'd say this case is going to be rather a headache.
Why is that?
Well, if this woman's been dead for as long as you say, all the clues will be stone cold by now.
On the contrary, Inspector, You've one very important clue that time will never be able to obliterate.
Oh? What's that?
The murderer was left-handed.
Are you serious, Doctor?
Quite serious.
How do you know?
It's obvious from the nature of the injuries.
Well, at least that's something to go on. But even that's useless unless we learn something about the victim. If we want to catch her killer, we've got to get her identified as quickly as possible.
For the next few days, Widmouth Gorge was a scene of unusual activity as scores of police scoured the rocky defile from one end to the other in search of clues. Apart from a few strands of human hair caught in a bush a few feet from where the body had been discovered, the search revealed nothing. Yet those few strands of hair, coupled with anatomical details supplied by Dr. Sedley, were sufficient for Inspector Hythe to get a fairly accurate estimate of the girl's physical makeup. And almost miraculously, by the end of the week, a description of the murdered woman was being circulated throughout the country. A move that produced results quicker than the inspector had dared hope.
Tom,
Well, Joan, what's the matter?
have you read tonight's paper?
Yes, of course.
Then did you read the description of that woman whose body was found in Widmouth Gorge the other day?
No, I skipped it. Why?
I think it's Mary.
Mary?
Yes, Mary Haywood.
Now, Joan, don't be silly.
I'm not being silly. You listen. The description fits her perfectly. Height, 5'1". Build, slight. Hair, light brown.
That description could fit thousands of people.
I haven't finished yet. 2 of the front teeth in the upper jaw were filled with gold. As well, the left leg was a fraction shorter than the right, and it is believed that because of this, the deceased walked with a slight limp. Now am I being silly?
No. Oh, Mary did walk with a slight limp.
And I remember her saying at some time or other that she'd had 2 teeth gold filled. I'm sure it's her, Tom. She and Roger often used to go to Widmouth Gorge. That's what made me associate her with a newspaper description the other night.
But Mary's in Suttonbury.
It's where she said she was going. But we don't know whether she did. She's never written.
Well, that doesn't prove anything.
No? Well, it says here that the police believe the woman has been dead between 6 and 9 months. The last time I saw Mary, it was not quite 8 months ago.
Oh, Joan, you're jumping to conclusions.
Perhaps I am. And yet, remember, Tom, when we were discussing Mary the other night, I said I wasn't worried about her. I was worried about her. I have been ever since she went away.
But why?
I've never told you this before. Mary asked me not to. But the day she was to leave for Suttonbury, she came to see me during the afternoon. I could see she was upset. I suppose you're wondering why I've come, Joan. You said goodbye the other day. Well, yes, Mary, I am. I'm not sure I know myself. Perhaps it's because I need some sympathy. Why, what's the matter, Mary? It's Roger. Roger? Oh, Mary, what is it? What's happened?
I've just found out that Roger's been going around with someone else. Has been for almost 3 months.
Mary.
Think of all I've done for him. Why, I've even run the risk of being thrown in jail, all because of that little pet.
What's that?
About 6 months ago, when we...
Yes?
No, perhaps I'd better not tell you. I don't want you to get mixed up in it. Anyway, you needn't think he can get rid of me so easily. If I told the police all I know, I could have him sent up for 5 years or more.
Oh, no, Mary, you mustn't talk like this.
I'm sorry. It's just that I feel so hurt, so angry. After promising to marry me, to do a thing like this.
At least you've one consolation, Mary. You've found out what he's like before it's too late.
No, Jane, you don't understand.
I don't understand what?
I'm not going to break off our engagement.
But, Mary...
Roger's going to keep his promise. He's mine, Joan, mine. And if I can't have him, then by heaven no one else shall. I'll make quite sure of that.
And before I could say anything else, Tom, Mary changed the subject. So pointed there that I didn't like to refer to it again. A few minutes later, she left. And round about 5:30, just as I was starting to get my dinner ready, the phone rang. Hello?
Is that you, Joan?
Why, Mary.
I'm
sorry to trouble you like this, especially after being such a nuisance this afternoon, but I just wanted to let you know that I thrashed it out with Roger.
Oh?
Yes, and everything's going to be all right. He's promised to stop seeing this other girl. We're going to be married as soon as we possibly can.
Mary, I know it's none of my business, really. But do you think you're being wise? I mean, practically forcing a man
I told you I have no pride where Roger's concerned. As a matter of fact, I'm on my way to meet him now. He's taking me for a drive.
Where are you going?
Just out to our usual haunt. We can't go too far. My train leaves at 10:30, and I've got to collect my bags first from the cloakroom.
You'll write to me, won't you, when you get to Suttonbury?
The moment I've settled down. Oh, by the way...
Yes?
Do me a favor and don't say anything to Tom about my visit this afternoon, or this phone call.
All right, darling.
Thanks, Joan. You're a pet. Goodbye.
Now you understand why I'm so worried, Tom. Why, I have been ever since Mary left. Those 2 conversations I had with her, they were so odd.
Well, they might have been, but they still don't prove that the body discovered in Widmouth Gorge is hers.
But don't you see, if Mary threatened Roger that she'd have him arrested unless he married her, and Roger didn't want to marry her because he was in love with someone else, why anything could happen.
I still think you're jumping to conclusions.
Oh, maybe I am. All the same,
All right, darling. If it will make you feel any easier, I'll meet you in town tomorrow, and we'll go along to police headquarters together.
But when Joan and Tom arrived at police headquarters the following morning, they learnt the skeleton had already been identified. A well-known city dentist had recognized the dental work. The murdered woman was Mary. Rather shaken, Joan told Inspector Hyde her story. Following up the information she gave, the inspector went to the cloakroom at the railway station. Mary Hayward's luggage was recovered and a warrant issued for Roger Bedford's arrest. He was taken into custody the following afternoon, and a few hours later, the evening papers were excitedly telling the public that Clive Bedford, the young man who with Barbara Stratton had originally discovered the skeleton in Widmouth Gorge, was the same person as Roger Bedford. Several weeks after Roger Bedford's arrest for the murder of Mary Hayward, the case came on for hearing. A crowded courtroom heard the Crown prosecutor make his opening address. As soon as it had ended, he called as his first witness Barbara Stratton. Nervously, she told the court how she and the accused had discovered the body. On being asked by the Crown prosecutor who had suggested climbing down into the gorge that afternoon, she replied,
I did. You see, I'd always wanted to go down there ever since I was a little girl. So when Roger, stopped the car a couple of 100 feet away from the gorge, I decided the opportunity was too good to miss.
How did the accused react to the idea?
He wasn't very keen on us at all. Said we weren't properly dressed for scrambling down cliffs, that it was too dangerous. However, when I threatened to go alone, he finally agreed to accompany me.
Tell me, how long have you known the accused, Miss Stratton?
Not quite a year.
You're not engaged, are you?
No, although he has asked me to marry him several times.
And when was the first time he ever proposed to you? Do you remember?
About 2 months after I met him, I think.
No. And at that time, while you were together, did he ever mention Mary Hayward's name?
No.
So that when he first proposed to you, you didn't know he was already engaged?
No.
Thank you, Miss Stratton. That is all. Your witness.
When counsel for the defense had finished his cross-examination, Dr. Sedley proceeded to give evidence of the way in which the deceased had met her death. When he revealed to the Crown prosecutor that the murderer was left-handed, excitement simmered through the crowded courtroom.
And what makes you so positive that the murderer is left-handed, Dr. Sedley?
Well, as I've told you, when I examined the deceased, I found that the skull had been cracked in 3 places as a result of 3 heavy blows.
Yes?
All 3 cracks were on the left side of the head, starting near the back and running towards the center.
I see. And how would they have run if the murderer were right-handed?
They would not have had much chance of those cracks being on the left side of the head at all, you know. they'd have been on the right side.
Supposing they had been on the left side.
Then they would have run from the back of the head towards the left ear.
I see. Now, what if the murderer was standing in front of his victim when he struck those blows? If he were right-handed, the cracks would have been on the left side of the skull, wouldn't they?
Oh, yes. But in that case, they would have run from the front of the head to the back. However, as they don't, as they run from the back to the center, these blows must have been struck from the rear. And as the cracks are all on the left side of the skull, then the murderer must have been left-handed.
That is all. Thank you, Doctor. Your witness.
But counsel for the defense declined to cross-examine. And so the Crown Prosecutor then called Joan Marlowe as his next witness. In full detail, she told the court of Mary Hayward's last visit to her home and also of her phone call a few hours later. When this part of her evidence had come to an end, she went on to say that Mary was an orphan and had first met the accused about 3 years before while they were both working for the Middlehurst Canning Company.
And when did you meet Roger Bedford, Mrs. Marlowe?
A few months after they became engaged. Mary brought him home to dinner one night.
Mrs. Marlowe, do you know what the deceased meant when she said she had run the risk of being thrown into jail on the accused's behalf?
Well, no, I don't. Not exactly.
But you've an idea, eh?
I believe there was a row of some sort at the place where she and Roger worked. What it was about, I don't know. All I know is that they both left there, very suddenly.
When was that?
About 15 months ago.
And now, Mrs. Marlowe, one final question.
Yes?
A few minutes ago, you stated that while Mary Hayward was speaking to you on the phone, she said that she was going for a drive with the accused to their usual home. What was their usual home?
Widmouth Gorge. They often went there.
Thank you, Mrs. Marlowe. That is all. Your witness.
Swiftly, counsel for the defense rose to his feet, and for the next half hour cross-examined Joan Marlowe relentlessly.
And Mrs. Marlowe, while Mary Hayward was speaking to you, did she say that she and my client were going for a drive that evening to Widmouth Gorge?
Why, no. She just said they were going to their usual haunt.
Their usual haunt? Then what makes you so certain that she was referring to Widmouth Gorge?
Well, they were in the habit of going there quite often.
So you immediately assumed that they were going there again?
Yes.
Then in point of fact, for all you know, they could have been going somewhere quite different.
Yes, I suppose they could have.
In your evidence, Mrs. Marlowe, you said that you first met my client when the deceased brought him to your home one evening for dinner.
That is so.
Did she only bring him the once?
No, he came to dinner with her several times.
I see. Then I take it that you know my client fairly well.
Yes, I suppose I do.
In that case, Mrs. Marlowe, I'd like you to tell the court one thing. Is Roger Bedford right or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Thank you, Mrs. Marlowe. That is all.
With a sigh of relief, Joan Marlowe left the box. A few seconds later, her place was taken by a tall, grey-haired man in his late 60s, whom the Crown Prosecutor addressed as...
Mr. Hitchings, I believe that you are the general manager of the Middlehurst Canning Company.
That is correct.
How long have you held that position?
For just on 15 years.
During that time, did you ever meet the accused?
Yes, he used to work for us once.
And the deceased?
She also worked for us. But they both left about 15 months ago.
Why did they leave, Mr. Hitchings?
Our annual inventory showed over £1,000 worth of goods not accounted for by sales. And as it occurred in the department in which Bedford and Miss Hayward were employed, suspicion fell on them.
And so you dispensed with their services?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Hitchings. Your witness.
Mr. Hitchings, did you actually dismiss Mr. Bedford and Miss Hayward?
Well, no. We were going to, but they resigned.
Mm-hmm. And after they had resigned, did you lay any charge against either of them for theft or misappropriation of goods or anything like that?
We were considering a charge against Bedford for a time, but finally we decided not to.
Why?
Our solicitors were of the opinion that we didn't have sufficient evidence to secure a conviction.
Then it's never been actually proved that either my client or Miss Hayward stole any of your firm's money or misappropriated any of its goods.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Hitchings. That is all.
It was here that the Crown case came to an end. And shortly after this, Roger Bedford began giving evidence in his own defense. Under the skillful questioning of his counsel, he succeeded in creating a more than favorable impression. An impression that was strengthened when he told the court he was right-handed. Then the Crown prosecutor began his cross-examination.
Mr. Bedford, are you in love with Miss Stratton?
Very much in love with her.
Were you in love with Mary Hayward?
No.
Then why did you ask her to marry you?
I thought I was in love with her. But shortly after we became engaged, I realized that I wasn't. That I had made a mistake.
A mistake which you finally tried to rectify by killing her?
I didn't kill her.
Did you ever tell the deceased that you were no longer in love with her, but were in love with someone else?
No.
Why not, Bedford? That would have been the decent thing to do. Why didn't you?
Well, I know it was cowardly of me, but I wanted to avoid a scene. Mary was very quick-tempered.
Quick-tempered? At what time did you meet her on the night she was to leave for Suttonbury?
I didn't meet her.
You arranged to, hadn't you?
Yes. She came to see me that afternoon at the office. She'd found out about Barbara. And I finally said I'd meet her in order to get rid of her.
And how long did you wait for her that night, Bedford?
About an hour. Perhaps a little longer.
Weren't you surprised when she didn't turn up?
No, just relieved.
After waiting for her, then what did you do? Go home?
No, I went for a drive.
By yourself?
Yes.
And where did you go?
Why, nowhere in particular.
Bedford. What was the hold Miss Hayward had over you?
I don't know what you mean.
Oh, yes, you do. It was you who robbed the Middlehurst Canning Company, wasn't it?
No.
I'm suggesting it was. And I'm also suggesting that the deceased not only knew about it, but almost also helped you.
That's not true.
Why did you change your name, then?
I didn't. Roger Clive Bedford is my name.
Then why did you suddenly acquire a preference for using your middle name?
There was nothing sinister about it, if that's what you're inferring.
I'm inferring nothing. I'm just asking you why you did.
Well, I've been suspected of theft. And so in order to save myself the embarrassment of answering awkward questions when I applied for another job, I began calling myself Clive instead of Roger.
I see. Mr. Bedford, why were you so reluctant to go into Widmouth Gorge with Miss Stratton on the afternoon you both found Mary Hayward's skeleton?
Well, as Miss Stratton has already said, we weren't suitably dressed for climbing over rocks and boulders. Besides, that gorge is very dangerous.
Yet you and the deceased visited the gorge quite often, didn't you?
Yes.
When you and Miss Hayward went there, did you always change first into something more suitable for climbing over rocks and boulders?
Why no?
Bedford, why not bring this farce to an end? Why not admit that you killed Mary Hayward and have done with it?
I've already told you a dozen times or more I didn't kill her.
I'm suggesting that you did. Isn't it a fact that although you weren't in love with Mary Hayward, she was so much in love with you that she was trying to force you to marry her by threatening to tell the police the truth about the theft from the Middlehurst Canning Company?
No, you're wrong.
And isn't it also a fact that in desperation you met her that afternoon as arranged, drove with her to Widmouth Gorge, and then murdered her?
It's not true, any of it. I didn't kill her, I tell you. I didn't kill her.
The court adjourned for the day. As the Crown prosecutor gathered his papers together, a puzzled frown crossed his forehead. If only Dr. Sedley had not been so insistent that the murderer was left-handed. However, early the next morning, the Crown prosecutor had a visitor. And when the court resumed for the day, he caused a sensation by asking permission to recall Joan Marlowe. This request was granted. And as soon as Joan had taken her place once again in the box...
While my learned friend was cross-examining you yesterday, Mrs. Marlowe, you said that the accused came to your place several times for dinner.
That is so.
And when was the last of these visits?
About 5 days before Mary was to leave for Suttonbury.
And was there anything different about him on that occasion?
His right hand was heavily bandaged. He'd gashed the palm very badly at work.
Did this injury cause him much inconvenience?
Well, he could still drive his car, but he couldn't grasp anything firmly in his hand at all.
In other words, Mrs. Marlowe, at the time of Mary Hayward's death, The accused was temporarily left-handed.
Yes.
The case against Roger Bedford was now complete. And when the jury retired, it took them only a few minutes to arrive at their verdict of guilty. Bedford was sentenced to death, and some 5 weeks later, he was hanged.
The court is adjourned.
The judge departs. The jury is discharged. The judgment has been given. Another human story is over until the law of the land is challenged again. And we are privileged to hear once more, at this time, dramas of the court. This feature is a Grace Gibson radio production produced by Reg Johnson.